So I was at the range not too long ago, and I was doing some drills, working on what's called doubles in the practical shooting space. And that's where I'm taking 2-shot iterations as fast as I possibly can. And one of the ROs at the indoor range came up to me and asked me, how are you shooting that fast? And I was going, I'm just pulling the trigger as fast as I can. That's what doubles is all about. And he asked me, are you seeing your sights? And I go, no, I'm seeing my first sight picture, but the second one I'm letting fly. And then he asked for more details. So how are you accurately hitting? And then I explained to him the whole concept of predictive shooting. There's reactive shooting and there's predictive shooting. So I want to talk about predictive shooting for those of you who are unfamiliar with it. And in essence, it kind of teaches you how to shoot without waiting for your sights before you take a second or subsequent shot. So if you're interested, stay tuned. All right, welcome back. So we're all taught when we're learning how to shoot a firearm, it doesn't matter if it's a pistol, a rifle, whatever it is, that you are reacting to a stimulus, which is true, right? You want to react to a threat, react to a target, and then you're gonna line up your sights, wait for your sights to be on target, then you break the shot, right? So you're reacting, that final moment is reacting to your sights on target. You know that's the time to break a shot, so you break the shot. But you are reacting to that stimulus, right? And with doubles, and you can even do triples if you want to, the whole idea is this is a drill where you are taking one shot, so you know what you're aiming at, okay? You have your dot or your front sight on a particular target. You're going to pull that shot, break that shot, but your second or third shot, if you're doing triples, once in a while I like to break it up and do triples because it's a better test for my grip. I think a lot of people in the practical shooting world or competitive space use doubles because you're typically shooting 2 shots only on a target. I like to do 3 and even sometimes 4 just because I like to, again, emphasize or see if I have a good grip. So anyway, going back to what I was just saying, the second shot in doubles or the third shot also in triples, you're not really looking at your sights anymore. You're actually pulling the trigger as fast as you can and not relying on your vision or aiming to get your second or third shot on target, okay? For the rest of this video, I'm just going to talk about doubles because that's traditionally what a lot of practical shooters use, okay, doubles. So what is happening here is, okay, dry here. What is happening is I have my dot on my target, I break the shot, and again, as I mentioned, I'm going to break the second shot as fast as I possibly can squeeze the trigger a second time. So I'm not even concerned about where my sights are on the second shot. Why? The whole idea is predictive shooting. I'm trying to predict where my second or third shot are going to go. Have you ever seen professional shooters do a bill drill really quick? The key here is they are doing predictive shooting. The ones who are going super fast, right? They're not seeing a crystal clear front sight or the red dot on every single shot where it's steady on target or anything like that. They have such great form. They're so in tune with their body. They're so in tune with the feeling of their grip around their gun that they know exactly how the gun should feel within their hands while they're shooting to maintain good sight alignment and good sight picture as this gun cycles and goes through its recoil pattern. And that is what we call predictive shooting. You can actually predict. So let me talk this through so you kind of better understand the difference between predictive and reactive shooting. So I'll start off with the reactive shooting. Let's say I was taking 2 shots, sights on target, break the shot. Muzzle goes up, sights on target, break the shot. So I'm reacting to sights on target, okay? Predictive shooting would be this, where I have sights on target, break the shot. I am no longer waiting for my sights to go on target. I'm just breaking that second shot as fast as I possibly can. And what this is doing is it's testing our grip. Where are our sights returning just based on our grip and not us making different adjustments, micro adjustments to line up our sights with a target. So going back to that little story I mentioned at an indoor range, that's how I was able to shoot as fast as I was shooting without really being, seeing my sights. I am essentially aiming, so to speak, if you want to call it that way, with, I'm aiming first. So I need to definitely make sure I'm on target properly with my red dot or my iron sights on that first shot. But all the subsequent shots, I'm using my body, right? It's all all body mechanics here to grip, pressures, things like that. Now, the pressures that I use might be different for you, because you might have a different gun, you might have a different rate of fire, you may shoot much faster than me. So all that stuff, the grip pressures, the rate of fire, all that stuff. There's a lot of different variables. But the idea is you need to find out what you need to do, adjust with your technique to get to that point. All right, so that's one of the secrets, if you even want to call it that, as to how competitive shooters, practical shooters shoot really fast. All right, and they're still on target. Okay, so what's better, reactive or predictive shooting? The truth is, it's not a competition. You're going to be using both. It's like almost everything in shooting. It's dictated by your particular situation. Let's take it from the competitive space, because this is what's used a lot in competition, but can absolutely be used in defensive scenarios. Predictive shooting is what you're probably going to be doing when there are easy targets. You're up close, or the target is really big, where it's more forgiving. So you can rely just on that first shot. And if you have to practice this a lot though. Okay, this is, I'm going to tell you the truth here. If you're just the average gun owner who probably shoots, with like 1,000 rounds a year, that's probably not going to be enough, unless you're one of the few exceptions there who's really gifted, a prodigy, you're probably not going to get it. And predictive shooting is probably not going to be for you. But I bring this up because practical shooters are the ones who are shooting tons and tons of rounds, or dry firing every day, shooting lots of rounds, and they become so in tune with their grip and, again, all the pressures and details that, again, they can predict their shots. So if you begin to practice a lot more, when you find a target that is easy for you or really big, you can fall back to predictive shooting. So this is where you don't necessarily have to see your sights on every single target, because you are extremely confident that you're going to land those 2 shots or 3 shots without having to see your sights on every single shot. And in the competitive space, that is what is referred to as attack targets. So you're going in, you're seeing that first sight picture or getting reference of your sights, and you're attacking. You're just letting loose. Another, if you wanted to make this example very simple in a practical sense, like self-defense, it's somebody who's really close, maybe 1 or 2 yards. Chances are, even if you're not really trained that well, point blank, really close, you can take 2-3 shots, and you're, very, very high chance you're going to hit. Now, if you're trained, like I was telling you, that if you're part of that group who trains all the time, then if a person was at 1 or 2 yards, you can, with 100% confidence, know you're going to be nailing that threat or that target right in front of you. So that's where you would use predictive shooting. Okay, and that I say lightly, because the ranges for different people can change. So people with more skill and who've been more experience, their predictive shooting range can be really far. It might go up to 10, 12, 15 yards maybe, right? Where they don't even need to see the sight picture on the second shot. They can just let loose because their technique, their mechanics, their form is so good. They're so in tune with it. So somebody who's just starting out, maybe their attack distance, where they can just use predictive shooting, is only up to 4 yards, 5 yards. After that, the second, third shot begin to fly all over the place. Now, when we reach that level, where you have crossed your threshold or past that point of being an attack target for you, where you can use predictive shooting, this is where we now move into reactive shooting, right? I would say that, for the most part, reactive shooting is probably the better approach, and that's because most people don't have a lot of time, like professional shooters, to really ingrain that predictive shooting into them. And so this is why reactive shooting is probably, you want to start off there most likely, unless you are going to be going into the competitive space and shooting lots of rounds, then, you absolutely need to understand predictive shooting. But going back to reactive shooting, once you cross that threshold where you can no longer predict, you need to get your sights on target, break that shot, wait for the sights to come back on, react to that stimulus, then break the shot again. So it's really important, if you want to shoot very fast, to understand where you can attack targets, use predictive shooting, and where you can or where you must change, reframe your thinking and do reactive shooting. So you might be wondering, okay, so how do I start? How do I determine where, what the range is? And fortunately, it's very simple. I'm going to show you how to determine your ranges right now. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate how you can determine where your predictive shooting range is versus your reactive shooting range. But before we get to the actual exercise, we want to thank Dry Fire Mag for bringing you today's video. If you guys are looking for a more efficient, effective way to do your dry fire, particularly if you have a striker-fired pistol, make sure to check Dry Fire Mag out. They're used by competitive shooters as well as even professional operators, so make sure to check them out in the description below. So for this exercise, you're going to have a target down range, and if this is brand new to you, start off at, maybe 4 yards, okay? And start off with paper. So I'm at 10 yards and I'm using a steel target just to simplify things for this video. And of course, since I'm shooting steel, I want some offset. So I'm not shooting frangible ammo, so I'm shooting from 10 yards with my pistol. You don't have to start that far. If you are brand new to this, most people, their attack range might stop at 5 yards for someone who's brand new. So you're going to start at that close distance. I advise paper when you're closer. Right now, just pretend I was at 4 yards, but with steel, I'm actually at 10. And the idea is I am going to take 2 shots. There's a lot of different iterations to this. I'm just going to show a bare bones, super basic one, okay? And I'm going to load and make ready. I'll talk you through this as I'm doing it here. I'm at 10 yards. Let's pretend I'm at 4 yards, okay? So you're going to get your pistol. It's not from the draw. You don't have to worry about that. And you don't even need to use a timer here. All you want to remember is you're going to get your sights on target for the first shot. And after that, just shoot as fast as you can. And you're not going to see anything on your second shot. Just pay attention to your target. Okay, keep on looking at your target. And let's see if you hit. If you hit those 2 shots, then do it again to confirm if you can do it consistently, all right? So you want to be able to do it consistently. For this video, I'm just going to demonstrate what you're going to do, but then you would do more reps. And if you can do more reps of it, then that is going to be good for an attack distance. Okay, so I'm on target. If you are shooting a DA, SA gun, double action, single action, just go from single action. So I'm here, I get my first sight picture, and then I'm going to take 2 shots as fast as I can. Okay, so I'm not worried about the time. I'm just concerned, did I actually see my sights on the second shot? I didn't. And just make sure. You see your sights on the first one and just shoot as fast as you can. So let's pretend I was at 4 yards. So now what you do is see if you consistently can shoot 2 shots quickly using predictive shooting from that distance. If you can do it, let's say 10 times in a row, all right. So now assuming that you're consistent at 4 yards, now I would be moving to 5 yards. For me right now, since I'm shooting steel, I'm moving to about 11 yards. And now you do the same exact thing here, okay? I'm using a DASA gun, so I'm going to go on single action here. We're not concerned about the draw or anything like that. We're going to get a first sight picture, and then we're going to land 2 shots. Okay? So I could not see my red dot on the second shot. So now I'm going to, if you were doing this at 5 yards, then continue to do that for, let's say, 10 more reps, or do it 10 consistently. If you can do that quickly without really seeing your second sight picture, move back. So let's pretend you're at 5 yards. You would now move to 6. I'm going to move to about 12. So now I'm at 12 yards from that steel plate, and this is typically where I begin to break. This is where my limits are, but let's pretend you're at 6 yards. I'm just demonstrating for the exercise, but I already know this is kind of where my threshold is, where if I begin to go further, now I have to use reactive shooting. So let's just demonstrate this until I get to 13 yards, and where 13 yards, I'm going to have to see my red dot, or even further. So here I'm at 12, everything's the same, first sight picture, and then I'm going to do my first shot, then second shot as fast as I can. So I still landed that. Let's see if I can still continue to do this 10 times in a row. I won't actually do all 10, take up the time of the video, but let's see if I can do that again. So I missed that one. I missed the second shot. As I mentioned, this is kind of where my threshold is for a BC steel like this, okay? So this isn't a full-size silhouette. And what you're trying to do too is, I forgot to mention this earlier, you want to hold yourself to a very small target, right? So don't think like I wouldn't shoot a big full-size silhouette, maybe the A zone of a USPSA target, and that's what you're trying to meet, that standard where your 2 predictive shooting shots or predictive shots are going to land center mass on that A zone, okay? That's kind of what you would want, right? So just to go back to what I was saying, now at 12 yards, I'm beginning to break, okay? I can't, I missed that second one, so I can't be consistent. So this is where I would tell myself, okay, now I'm moving back, okay, I'm going to just take a couple steps. Now I'm maybe at 12 and a half yards, okay? now I already know that I have to do predictive shooting. So now I'm going to look at my sights on each shot. I'm just demonstrating now I would have to see my robot each shot. Okay, whereas the first one, I could not see the dot on the second shot. So understanding the difference between predictive shooting and reactive shooting can really come in handy, particularly if you're in the competitive shooting space, and particularly if you are a gun owner who practices a lot. Predictive shooting will allow you to shoot much faster with confidence. But here's the caveat, as I mentioned earlier, you need to be able to have the time to practice a lot. And I'm not just talking about dry fire. To do this properly, you need to shoot thousands and thousands of rounds, live rounds. And, unless you're gifted, most people though have to practice a lot. But if you're able to really pick it up and be in tune with the exact pressures of your grip, exactly where your body should be, the mechanics and the technique, you can hone in and rely on being able to see one sight picture and then land accurate shots. So give it a try. I shared this exercise with you. There are a lot of different variations that you can do, but that's the main point. You're going to find where you begin to break. And when you are shooting consistent doubles or even triples, meaning you're doing predictive shooting and shooting properly, make sure you try to do 10 in a row. If you're doing 10 in a row, then that's a pretty good indicator that you're good there, then you can move back, right? And everything will change though. This is something to keep in mind too. Your attack and your control distance. Control is where we talk about, I forgot to mention this earlier, when you're going into the reactive shooting space, that's what we call a control target, all right? So attack and control. And it's important to know though, your attack and control distances will change based on the gun and the caliber you're using. So right now I'm using a CZ Shadow 2 with a red dot, right? And I'm shooting 9mm. So for me, 12 yards is good. But now when, let's say I put a 40 cal on me, it might change, right? And the loads are different. So you need to also practice based on the caliber you're using and the firearm you're using. That wraps up today's video. If you like the video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Let us know if you have any other ways of approaching doubles or what you think about this entire concept, if it's brand new to you. And if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe. See you guys in the next video.